Welcome back to another episode of Hey Janeé Podcast. I'm your host, Janeé Bolden. I am a multimedia journalist in the entertainment and lifestyle space, navigating life mindfully. The podcast is all about how we overcome the daily challenges that come to us as creatives, moving around the world. It's my love letter to the world, my way of saying, hey, world. And of course, I want to hear it back.
Hey, Janeé.
Today, my guest is none other than Orlando McGee.
How are you?
He's a music executive. He's a father. He's a leader, a mentor. He has managed greats, including Organized Noize, Justice League, the affiliates, Future, to name a few, and has his hand in many of our favorite artists' careers. So excited to talk to you today, Orlando. But before we get started, we kick off every episode with a moment of joy from the week. So I want to hear from you. What's your moment of joy this week?
Man, moment of joy this week. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and
shout out to Hunter.
Yes, thank you. She wants to be a cheerleader so bad. So she came in Sunday night before it was bedtime, and she had created an entire cheer herself.
Wow.
I don't know where she got it from and what she, where it derived from, and she did a whole routine all on her own. So just, thought that she was able to go and do that gave me joy.
I love that. Proud dad moment.
Yes.
So I'm proud as well. My moment of joy comes from a moment of pride as well. I got kind of a juicy assignment from OK Player, I want to say last month. It was to write a personal essay about the rise of the neo-soul movement, which is very near and dear to me because neo-soul, of course, came to popularity in the mid-'90s, which is the same time that I moved to New York City. So it was the perfect time for me to write about. I had such a personal experience with neo-soul, and I labored hard over this essay because doing personal essay isn't my usual beat. But because this was such a personal subject, it was kind of fun, but it also was challenging because it was like, how do I put my personal story in, but give some, music journalism knowledge and expertise and make it my own. And I just learned this week that it was named to Complex UK's Best of 2025 Music and Culture Writing.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you. So really excited about that. Looking forward to doing more work with OK Player next year. And just excited to know that my work is being read in, across the pond, other parts of the world. Definitely want to shout out anybody watching outside of the U.S. I'm glad that you are paying attention to my career, and hopefully there's a lot to learn. So I have your resume here. I'm not...
Okay.
I'm not even going to go too deep into the resume. I actually want to just start by just more of the personal framing. We have a great personal relationship. Yes. When I came to Atlanta, I used to visit your office when you worked with Warner. Okay. So you were at the Biltmore building. Yeah. Yes. And I don't even remember how I ended up there because at the time I think I was writing for SOHH, but it was always stuff going on in your office. Your spot was like the popular place to be. And I met so many other people in the industry there. I want to say Moses Davis used to be around. Jenny Drake used to be around. Ty St. Louis was there all the time. So many different people. And I also know you well as, a mentor. My best friend, Earl Johnson, you are... very close with him. I would consider you a mentor to him. Matt the Mayor, another close friend of mine. Definitely. I would consider you a mentor to him as well. And Nick Love, I got to shout out Nick. He's gotten shout outs on the show before.
Shout out Nick. Yeah.
His marketing prowess. Yeah. So, not only are you great, but you help make other people great.
Well, I was taught that long time ago. Actually, not even that. Coming into the music industry, Rico Wade was that for me.
I love that.
It was a lot of people depended on Rico, and he invested in people. Mm-hmm. A lot of producers and a lot of executives came from that tree. So it was always about paying it forward.
I love that. I should also acknowledge that you were a great source for me when I wrote about Rico Wade recently for OK Player as well. We did kind of a retrospective on Rico Wade, timed with One Music Festival. Yeah, because there was a great Organized Noize set.
Yes, thank you. Oh yeah, we did our thing for the city. Yes, definitely.
So that is really interesting. What was Organized Noize your first music job?
Yes, it was.
So how old were you when you started going to the dungeon and?
Man, I didn't even get to the dungeon. It took about a year before I was even invited to go to the dungeon.
Right, you were at the office with Dee
Dee, right. But even before that, I used to go to the Boys and Girls Club at Lakewood when I was in high school.
Oh wow.
And the dungeon was around the corner, the original dungeon, and you would hear about it, but we could never find it. And I mean, guys around, there was no internet in that era.
Yeah.
So there wasn't even cell phones.
Google Maps, yes, none of that.
Nothing. So you would hear about it, and we would try to ride by and never could find it. I mean, people all over. There were at least 300 kids at the Boys and Girls Club. Yeah. We would all try to get around there to figure out what was going on. Everyone wanted to be, recording artists at the time. Nothing. So eventually, I applied for an internship and got it. I was a manager at Macy's, believe it or not, at Lenox Square.
Wow.
I was a manager in China luggage, rugs, and bedding.
Wow.
Which is very odd for someone from my background. I know all the China patterns.
That's amazing.
Flatware patterns. When I got married, I
was about to say, everything. I know your registry must have been lit.
It was dope. Yes. So yeah. That's where my first introduction to the music industry came from.
That's wild. So you started. I mean, to me, that's like starting at the pinnacle.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, it was a golden era. The first Outkast and Goody Mob albums were out. I came into the dungeon right before the second Goody Mob album.
Oh, okay.
So, actually, it was right at the second Outkast album had been put out. We were in the midst of working on the Goody Mob album, so got a chance to see a lot of what was being created. So the name was already there, but it was still regional, with a little appeal in New York and LA. Obviously, black colleges kind of helped it root itself outside of the marketplace. But it was the first time people got a chance to hear about the streets of Atlanta. East Point, Headland, and Delow, all those great things. So a lot of people, around town could identify, with the sound and what they actually heard. So it was a moment of pride.
I love that. Did you make it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction?
Yes.
Amazing. You have to tell us about that.
Oh man, it was surreal in a sense. Again, they were stars when I met them, but kind of building a friendship and just being around. A lot of times you're just around and in a room with Big and Dre or just even the guys from Organized, just the whole crew. And you never really realize how iconic they are until that moment. I'm sitting there watching them being inducted into the pinnacle of the music industry. The accolades that come from that are huge.
I love the recognition at this time, but I wanted to ask you. I really wondered about this. When Outkast headlined Coachella a few years ago, there was online. There was a lot of the younger generation, because there has been kind of a lack of Outkast albums since that final joint album. What do you think about that? The fact that that particular group of artists kind of paved the way for Atlanta being what it is today, but there's a whole generation that doesn't understand that.
Man, it's interesting you say that. I remember, and this is a little older also, Crime Mob. When we were working on Crime Mob in the studio, they had never heard an Outkast album.
Wow.
So we were working on their second album. One day not a whole day, but we took a couple of hours in the studio just to sit down and listen to the Outkast album.
Wow.
Just so they can really understand where the foundation of Atlanta and the sound of Atlanta came from.
Yeah.
The lingo and the culture of it as a whole. So they learned a whole new respect for it. And I think a lot of artists now have kind of gone back. I will say technology has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Because you'll see the videos on, YouTube and whatnot. And the DSPs have helped a lot also, where you don't have to go in the store to go find an old CD.
Yeah.
You can actually just go click on a button and, even in the algorithm, a song may pop up.
Yeah, the playlisting has helped as well.
So, I think, I love the fact that a lot of artists are kind of giving them their recognition, that just the whole crew as a whole, or the whole era of Atlanta, from the Attic Crew to the Dungeon Family, just everything that kind of happened in Atlanta in that time period where we were all young and no one, I'm not going to say knew what they were doing, but we didn't know what was ahead of us.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an interesting time, too, because if you listen to a lot of music now, we're hearing a lot of those 90s samples, like in the music that's popular right now, which is interesting because if you think about the music that was made in the 90s, we were using so many of those 70s samples, the jazz and disco and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. The beauty of managing producers, I clear samples, man, at least once or twice a week between Organized Noize and Justice League.
Wow.
We get sample requests for our recordings of stuff that they've actually made. So, great life for them.
So getting to the management conversation a little bit, what let you know that you were ready to manage? Or was it even a fact of I'm ready to do it, or were you just looking around and you're like, hey, this isn't being done right. Somebody got to do it.
Yes. Well, there's actually, I think most people probably tried to become a recording artist at one time, and it was a little more difficult in that era. I booked some studio time. I went in, had some tracks. I actually had to pay for it.
Wait, you were rapping?
Oh man, what? I'm not even gonna say what my stage name was. I had to come up with a stage
now you
name
have
and
to.
everything.
Now you have to, just because you said you're not gonna.
So
say
my last name is McGhee, McGhee. So I call myself MCG.
Hey.
Kind of dope though.
Yeah.
And I hated my voice on a recording.
Yeah.
And realized in that moment I'd wasted about $800. And $800 back then was a whole 2 weeks paycheck.
Yeah.
So it was terrible, and realized that's not for me, and decided that there's careers in the music industry without actually having to be a recording artist, and went from there.
Okay. As a manager especially a manager of producers, what kind of advice are you giving them? I know you're talking about clearing samples, and I've heard obviously I mentioned Earl, who manages producers as well, and I'm always hearing like, we don't want to if we can avoid using the sample, we'll replay it instead. Can you explain that for people who don't understand?
Well, actually, there's two ways to do it. With replaying samples, you don't have to clear the master rights side. So saves the label, saves the artist a lot of money on that end. But if you still play the exact same melody or play the exact same thing, you just still have to clear the publishing side.
Yeah.
Now, we have some magic guys that can go in and change it a little bit, and we don't have to clear anything. But it's worked to our advantage. Also, we organized, like I said, Justice League, done a lot of work with 30 Rock as well, where people have kind of gone in and played parts from the Organized Noize stuff to get away from clearing the master side, but they'll still clear the publishing side of it, which we still have the rights to, and the guys live off of to this day. There's so many new works being derived from their old works that is incredible, and we appreciate it at all. Believe me.
I love that. So you help them find ways to save money and to make money.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Okay, so as a manager, I know you have some great relationships, and so you're probably bringing your producers into these great relationships. How does that differ from what an A&R does? I know they're both kind of connector roles.
Well, believe it or not, it kind of coincides a little bit.
Yeah.
But on the A&R side, there's the back end piece of that a lot of people don't know about is the admin piece. You're responsible for that recording budget. So, you have to get everything made, studio time, producers, engineers, mix engineers, samples cleared, musicians paid, all from that recording budget. And a lot of people just don't pay attention to it. You lose your job for going over budget.
Yeah.
So or having to, the worst thing in the world is having to go back into your budget meeting to ask for additional money for an album
Yeah.
after you've gone over and you didn't catch it beforehand. So, you know, having that aspect of it on the A&R side and the responsibility of it, you know, goes a long way. On the management side, you want to be cognizant of it also, but there's so much more that you actually have to do. You can't just 100% concentrate on the recordings of the records because you're planning the tour for when the album comes out. Or, you know, you're working out all the interviews or the scheduling, everything that derives from that artist, just their whole life as a whole for the most part. And I believe, I'll be honest, it's worth more than 20%. But, you know, a lot of managers, that's you know.
That's been I feel like that's been the standard for like a long time.
And a lot of guys don't even pay that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I have heard some stories. I have other friends who manage, and it's like waiting. You got to wait, and your credit card bills get piled up, and then you got to wait for the artist to repay you, and sometimes they can or they can't, and it sounds like a lot. How about relationship? How does that affect those relationships, and how do you maintain great relationships? Because you've had some of these relationships. I feel like I've known Justice League since early in my writing career. I think I wrote their first national story for XXL in like 2005 or 6, something like that. 2006 probably. And you were managing them back.
I'm trying to think, was I managing?
Were you, or was it still Chuck?
I think Chuck and I forgot what year. I don't even remember.
Well, you came in, I feel like not too long
right
after that, but to
era,
still have that relationship, and also to still have that relationship with Organized Noize. You still have a great relationship with Future. You maintain these great relationships. What's the key, do you think, to that?
Always making money for your client.
Yes.
And always being honest.
Okay.
You know, that's the biggest key. Is a lot of the guys, they don't want you to lie to them, and they don't want you to steal. Two things are, as long as you can make money for them and not steal it or do anything with it that they don't know about, keep everything above board, then they'll love you.
So transparency.
Transparency goes a long way, yes.
Wow. Is there ever a time where it's better not to share certain things?
Yes, definitely. The worst thing that happens is walking into too many meetings with the artist and everyone in that room doesn't have something positive to say about them. You always want the artist to believe that they're the greatest thing in the world. So as a manager, you have to shield them from a lot of criticism, right? I give prime example with Future, festival dates. Early on, EDM music was huge, and that was what was booked at all the festivals. Yeah, they didn't want us.
Wow.
But on the back end, you know, our team was trying to figure out, why aren't we getting any festival dates? So I'm sitting there, you know, beating my head with the buyers, having meetings, and, you know, showing them data and giving them information. But they still didn't want it. So it kind of fell back on me as though I wasn't doing what I needed to do. But I'm there, you know, with all the data and the information, which later on paid off for him because he was, you know, he hit that festival circuit and took off. I would say all the other Atlanta artists, the Lil Yachty's, the 21s that went out and did them for hundreds of thousands of dollars, they owe Future and myself, you know, some gratitude in the sense of, you know, we would not take no for an answer when it came to, because he pressed me. Yeah. So him pressing me made me go 10 times harder with, you know, with the booking agent to go to the buyers of the festival dates and, you know, show these guys deserve to get paid to go out and do those dates.
Amazing. That's incredible. Let me ask you this. Yes. What's a lesson that you learned the hard way, but you wouldn't trade for anything?
Lesson I learned the hard way. Don't talk too much. And there's two. Know your craft. There's nothing like going in a room and negotiating a deal in terms that you have no idea what you're talking about. That's the worst feeling in the world because you could negotiate a bad deal or you could have gotten more out of the deal or a better deal.
So how do you stay up on all that?
Study.
Yeah.
Study. So when I was at Organized Noize, I give Dee all the credit in the world. She gave me a key. And she let me go through. We sat there, went through all the producer agreements that would come in for Organized. She explained to me what each thing was. I had my best friend, Yawanda Carter. She's an entertainment attorney. Yeah. When I convinced her to go into entertainment law. So as she was doing that, conversations back and forth, she would explain, this is what this means, this is what this means. For the most part, I can almost mark up an agreement as an attorney would.
Oh, amazing.
Because of my relationship with Yawanda and what Dee Dee taught me. Between the two ladies, they did me a solid.
See, women in hip hop.
Yes, definitely.
I'm glad you mentioned Yawanda. I definitely wanted to talk to you about your community. What does your community look like?
Man, Yawanda is one of my closest friends. From the entertainment law side. I have a mentor, Bernard Parks. Bernard and I have known each other. Actually, he was a mentor for me before he even knew. So Bernard was Goody Mob's first manager.
Yeah.
A company called DuBois Management. And I was interning for Organized, so I would watch everything that Bernard would do, how he would do it, all his business, and kind of emulate it later on as I kind of came down the line. His son and my son became best friends at 6 years old. And, he and I kind of been rocking ever since. And, I need some advice on something, I would always go to him. He'd give me information. And, he had gotten out of music for a while, and the digital side of it kind of came in. He was like, man, can you help me? Give me a rundown of what you think this should look like. And I'd be able to give him information about it. So it kind of paid it forward. Let's see, my wife and my kids. That's it, really. I mean, there's a couple other guys in there that I hang out with. Obviously, my crew, Wilt, Matt, Matt, Earl, those three. That's my
Your
triangle.
Core, yeah.
Right? We run a lot of stuff by each other. Like Wilt and I, we could go 2 months without talking and then sit down and, man, it's like we're best friends all over again. Same thing with Matt. And all of these guys, I knew them early on before anything, man. Living at home with their parents or whatever the case may be. I think everybody was living at home with their parents except for Earl.
Because he started hustling as a teenager.
Right. Yep.
He was a dancer, actor, and then you didn't know that? Oh, you never seen Earl on the dance floor?
No.
Oh man, you ain't lived. You gotta get the music going and see that man on the night. He'll throw his back out the next day.
Really?
But he gets down.
Yes.
And then I think he started his promo.
Yes,
company.
that's what I remember him from, his promo company. And then there's another gentleman, Naeem Ali.
Yes, Naeem.
It's funny because people be like, man. And I know they know Naeem and I are close because they'll mention his name and man, I can't get in touch with Naeem. Man, I just talked to him 5 minutes ago. But they're like, man, if you get a chance to talk to him, tell him X, Y, Z, and QRS.
That's so funny.
I'll be like, all right.
And not everybody knows that name because Kendrick has now name dropped him.
Right. Yep.
And talking about waiting on the call from Naeem. Everybody's waiting on a call from you, Naeem.
Yep. That's real.
That is hilarious. Well, you mentioned your wife and kids, and I love your wife. She actually made my Curl Mob logo.
Yes.
I did want to dig into your personal life a little bit. I warned you before you got here. I said, this isn't going to be your average music business interview. This is your second marriage, right?
Yes.
Can we talk about what lessons you learned from the first one?
100%.
Okay.
We were young.
Yeah.
And I was trying to... I think our ambitions were different.
Yeah.
So I'm a project kid down the street from where we are right now, Carver Homes Housing Project. So I had a really, really big ambition. I wanted to really have it. She comes from a family that had it for the most part. So she wanted me to be at home and in the house, and I wanted to be out and about. And it just didn't mix, didn't work out. And we just grew apart. So, it is what it is. I'm not going to say it ended badly. To this day, if, she needed anything, she can call. I would take care of her. I would assume the same for me, but, I don't know. I had a daughter before, so she actually helped me raise my daughter. I actually ended up with custody of my daughter, who's 25, 26 now. So my first wife actually played a very, very integral part in helping me raise my daughter. So that in itself,
it's a great one.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And then, a divorce, ended up with Lakeisha, and and had my son Orlando Jr. and my daughter Hunter, and that's my tribe. I think we spend more time with when the pandemic happened, you know how they say a lot of people got divorced.
Yeah. Because you find out if you really like the person that you're living with.
Right. In that moment, I think we realized, okay, we actually like each
other.
Oh,
I love that.
Because we were so busy. My current wife has the same ambition that I had. Mm-hmm. Like, she's a go-getter. She's a mover and shaker. Sometimes I'm even like, man, can I see you at least, longer than 5 minutes when we lay in the bed and close our eyes and go to sleep at night? But just her drive kind of helps me with my drive. I'm old now, so I'm starting to kind of wane down.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Older, maybe, or mature, but like, right, yes. You're not old. You in your 50s, right? Yes, that 50s are not old. We got to throw these old notions away. 50s is the new 40s, 30s. I don't know, gotcha. But 50's not old. You're not old yet.
Okay, good.
Wait till you set in your 70s to start claiming old.
I can't wait to.
You excited for your 70s?
Man, I'm ready for retirement. I want to go get me a bar and talk shit all day. Can I
yeah,
be able to talk shit to people all day. I have an uncle. He passed away just recently. Mm-hmm. And man, you know how you have Instacart? Mm-hmm. He lived with me for 4 years before he passed away. And I would take him to the grocery store and I'd be like, oh, Phil, we gotta go. He would speak to every person in the grocery store and talk shit. He'd find out everything. Every cashier knew who he was. The managers knew who he was. We'd go to the Beautiful to get something to eat. He wanted to sit down and he would have conversations. But I admire the older gentlemen that were retired that would sit there and just talk and all the information that you'd be able to get out of them every day. I kind of aspire for something like that. I want to be able to sit there and
But you said you want to have your own bar.
Yes. Okay. Restaurant bar.
So you're not really going to retire. That's a soft retirement. Right. You're still going to have a business.
Right. I want to be able to sit there and count the money every day. At the end of the day.
We like that. Right. I see what you're driving outside too.
Oh yeah.
Is that's the 50-year-old upgrade?
Well, yes and no. I've owned a model of that car. Actually, Future convinced me to buy it.
Okay.
Since Future. Okay. And I've had 2 since.
So Future talked you into the Porsche.
Yes.
The first Porsche.
First Porsche, yes.
And this is your third Porsche.
Yes.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. I love that. Okay, let's talk about the Future chapter.
Okay.
So I feel like a lot of people, or not enough people, realize that you were Future's first manager.
No. Yeah, I was behind the scenes a lot.
Okay.
Matter of fact, his first, when we did the deal, and I'll give you the story behind it. Future is Rico Wade's cousin.
Yeah.
I remember the first day that Rico brought him to the house. He went to a funeral for one of his relatives. He brought Future back to the dungeon. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, he came back to the dungeon after the funeral. Said his cousin was coming over, and he was a rapper. So everybody was like, "All right, cool." Mm-hmm. And Rick at the time had a bunch of young guys around. Cass was out. They were, who they were. Goody was out doing what they were. Witch Doctor, Cool Breeze. Everybody was out moving around, getting paid for shows. So it was about what he was going to do next. Mm-hmm. And there was Boulevard. G-Rock, C-Smooth, Artist Infinite. G-Rock and C-Smooth were part of this group called the Organization. I don't know if people around Atlanta remember a song called Can't Stop No Player and a bunch of other local hits. They were really, really popping at the time. And here comes Future walking in.
Yeah.
6-foot guy, young, has a nice little bit of swag, and kind of looked at Rico like, you kind of got one.
Yeah.
Even before he got on the microphone.
He just had the look. Yeah, he had the energy. Yeah.
And eventually, Rico created a group called The Connect, and did a deal at can't think of the company. I can't even think of the company. Oh well, he signed a deal.
You done so many deals at so many companies.
Right.
I don't blame you.
And it didn't. Eventually, the deal fell through. Rico put the project out independently. So you would hear at the time Meathead on the records, and you were like, "Wow, that's something special." And then Ludacris came in one day, and I remember there was a record called Blueberry Yum Yum. So Future wrote the hook of that record for Ludacris. It's actually a nice size. Well, it does well streaming wise. For Ludacris and his
Amazing.
catalog. And man, later on down the line, there's a guy, G-Rock, actually named him. You know, he was sitting there and he was like, man, you know, you're the future of hip hop, you're the future of rap. And that name kind of stuck with him. You know, Rick was like, yo, that's it right there. And he started calling him Future from there. And I went off and, you know, had done a couple other things. That's when I started working with Lil Jon. And went over
when
to
you were
Warner.
working with BME or Warner?
BME first, and then Warner. And then as I'm coming out of the deal at Warner, Future started popping.
Wow.
Started moving. And he had told some of the guys at the studio that Orlando was going to manage me one day. My career had kind of started moving, and it was moving pretty quickly. And he had a manager named Propane. I remember Propane actually came to see me. We sat down and talked, and, you know, just told him gave him some tips, some
advice,
pointers.
yeah.
Right. And Future came by the office one day, and I was thinking about taking a job at another record label. So I was like, hey, man, you know, thinking about taking this job. I'd love for you to be the first artist to sign, you know, the bravado. And, man, I'm doing my deal tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, cool. And I saw an executive come in also. There was a studio in the office space that I had.
Okay.
So I'm assuming they're meeting and everybody get this deal done. So I called Rico. Hey, man, you might want to call your cuz, tell him congratulations. It looks like he's about to do a deal. Rico called me back like, man, I don't know what happened with that. But can you call, you know, LA, a couple other people, some other label people that I do. So I called Naeem. And Naeem was working as a consultant at Epic at the time.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, LA wants to see him. You know, it was obviously with Rico. So had made that meeting happen. Before that, though, some other guys flew in town that was looking to do a deal. They wanted to sign him. There was a turnover at the label that they were at, and they were like, basically, we could do the deal, but we can't do it right now. Give us a week. We're flying to New York to meet LA the next day. And, you know, I'm sure everybody was wondering, why is Orlando in the room? Because I wasn't managing Future at the time. I was just around. And, you know, I kind of said in that moment, man, you know, he's going to see LA tomorrow with Rico. There's no chance that, with a record on the radio right now, it was Tony Montana.
Yeah.
There's no way. Drake had just jumped on the record also.
Yeah.
There's no way that LA is going to let him leave that room.
Yeah.
And when we got to New York, that's exactly what happened. LA locked the door. Said, call your attorney.
Yep.
Rest is history.
Wow.
And I think Benny Pugh, that's my brother to this day.
Yeah.
Benny kind of pulled me to the side and was like, hey, I just need you to kind of hang around this a little bit. I was like, all right, cool, no problem. Rico and I got ushered into one room. Future and Rocco was there. Rocco got ushered into another room. Deal got done. We came back to Atlanta. I didn't know what happened. So eventually, you know, I guess they had a meeting here, and Benny came down, and Benny was like, where are you? I was like, I ain't have nothing to do with it anymore. What do you mean? Yeah. And, you know, he was just like, I told you I want you around it. I was like, all right, cool, figure it out. Eventually, something happened with Future and, you know, the management at the time. He called me one night, like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my God.
I don't know, it was 3, 4. It was late. And I just so happened to answer. He was like, hey, man, I just need your help. I need you to fix this. Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. If I do it, it's got to be my way. Let me do what I do. Yeah. And I said, all right, cool. And the rest is history from there. We lived through, first 2 albums, you know, trying to get his touring set up. It was a lot. Yeah. Even, I always tell the story to people, the live mixtapes guys had a lot to do with Future's success that a lot of people don't realize or know. You got to think, at the time,
he was dropping all those mixtapes.
Right. He was the largest streaming artist on the live mixtape website. Yeah. Live mixtapes collected data. Oh, wow. So they would collect your email address. They knew what market you were in. They even knew the age of the people that were listening to the music. So outside of money from live mixtapes, LA wanted him to stop doing the mixtapes. I didn't know what else to get. So I was like, how about you guys give us the data you collected? Gave it to the Sony sales department. And to this day, Future is the largest streaming artist at Sony Music over any rock, pop act, anything that they actually have.
Wow, that's wild.
Now, the other dilemma is, which, you know, people are like, oh, man, he's so huge now. But I was like, he was huge then. He was the streaming numbers didn't count toward Billboard the first 2 albums. So, you know, when everybody was like, oh, man, you know, he had, the number one album here, number one album there. We were number one back then. They just didn't count the streaming number. It was kind of a big deal because I think Iggy Azalea beat us on the first album for the number one spot. But realistically, if they had put the streaming numbers in there, we would have demolished it. So we knew the numbers though, so we were able to go back in and change some things in this deal later on.
That's great. What's something about Future that most people don't know that you wish more people knew about him?
Man, his lyrical ability. I don't think he gets enough credit for.
Yeah.
If you go back and listen to, and it's on the DSPs, the Connect album, and listen for his voice because it's not listed as Future or Meathead. The lyrics that he put down on those records were nice. They were right up there with the guys in the crew in the dungeon.
That's wild, because I'm not going to lie to you. When I first heard Future, it might have been Same Damn Time or Tony Montana, and I remember being like, where's the lyricism?
Right.
Yeah, so that is an interesting.
Oh, yeah. I remember talking to Peter Rosenberg one day about it, and he didn't believe it, but I went and played him some music, and he was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I get it now.
I see it now, especially in more recent music, as well as like the music that he writes for other people, which that's interesting. I think he's underestimated as a writer.
Yes, 100%. I mean, the love song for Rihanna.
Yeah.
That was Future wrote that.
Yeah.
What was the record for Sierra?
The Body Party.
Body Party,
yeah.
yes.
I think he had a big part in kind of her coming back in that at that moment, because I think a lot of people had counted her out, and I mean a lot of it was Mike Will too, but I think Future really kind of put her back in that Atlanta sound, because I think for a minute she'd gone very pop, and I think that's a thing sometimes with artists, understanding what your audience wants.
Oh, without question. I think that relationship helped both careers, I would say. Not to get into their personal life, but it softened him up enough to the crossover audience, and it gave her a little bit of street credibility to the real R&B urban fan base again. I think she may have gone too far, pop at the time.
Yeah.
And that kind of helped her, grab that base back.
Yeah. No, I think in a sense too, I think their relationship helped her as well, just in terms of like reminding us that this is still a star, that she is an iconic figure. And those relationships sometimes will kind of remind you this is a power couple, and all drama aside, it was unfortunate when they went through a rough time. It's been beautiful to see her find her a happy ending, her Prince Charming, et cetera, et cetera. And I think even through it, they're now at a place where you'll hear him say, well, she's the one that got me to pray, or they do have more positive things to say now, which is, it's a great place to be. That kind of leads me to want to ask you about your own fatherhood journey. Sure. So tell me about your kids, and how much do they know about what you do, and do they care about what you do? And
my first daughter, not that she didn't care, she didn't realize it. Like, again, she saw Big and Dre and Rico, because Rico's a celebrity.
It's like Uncle Rico, yeah.
On a regular basis. So it wasn't a big deal. They'd be at the studio with me from time to time. And then she would come in and hang out in the studio with Future. And then his daughter, they were all in the studio playing around. I don't think they realized who the other person was at the time. Now, my daughter one day, Power Jam, I forgot what they call it in L.A., Powerhouse concert. And she got a chance to walk, because I would always keep her backstage. She got a chance to go out and see an arena full of people singing a Future record. That changed her whole mindset of, oh my God.
Yeah.
They're all listening, they're singing his song.
Yeah.
And that was a big moment for her to realize, wow, he is a big deal. And, my son, same thing. He could care less. He's 15.
Yeah.
I'll give you a prime example. You talked about one of the cars, and I remember going to pick him up from school one day, and he was like, Dad, don't pick me up in that. And he was like, I just want to kind of keep it.
He wants it more low key.
Yeah.
You made it hot for him.
I'm like, come on, man. All the kids at this school, parents have, these things.
He does go to a very good school.
Yeah, so he's like, nah, I don't want that. I was like, all right, cool, no problem. And my daughter, she's oblivious. She could, because again, there was stages to, the lifestyle that they actually live now. And my daughter, for her entire life, she's only 5. So that's all she's ever experienced. So all she knows is, the Jack and Jill crowd.
Yeah.
And, a pool in the backyard, a basketball court, and a theater in the house. Those things are regular commonplace for her. My daughter, my oldest daughter, Jay, she went through the trenches with it all. She knows what it was about, Not that we were ever hungry or anything like that.
Yeah.
We got past that a long time ago, but, she got a chance to see the ascension of life, so to speak. And I think she appreciates it. She's engaged now. There's 2 kids, her and her fiance.
So you're a grandpa?
Yes, I'm a grandpa twice.
Is that what they call you, grandpa or granddaddy?
Papa.
Papa.
Yes.
Nice.
And family's a big deal for me.
Yeah.
We used to do family day and, those different things. So she's actually instituted that in her life as well. I mean, I grew up without a pop. So my brothers and I kind of made it a point to say we're going to be very, very involved, if not overly involved in our kids' lives. So I had to tell my son sometimes, let me know if I'm a little overbearing because I'm around a lot.
Yeah.
Same thing with my daughter. I was around a lot.
Yeah.
My youngest.
But that's important, the presence.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. It actually leads me to ask you, I seen another interview of you talking about you were laid off from Rock Nation, and that led to, I was just laid off too, so I understand sometimes when people in the business understand what you're capable of and they see you're now available to go work somewhere else, the opportunities were coming to you. They were flowing to you because of all the great things you had already accomplished. But you mentioned that a lot of those opportunities were in New York or LA, and that one thing that you learned from working with Rock Nation was that New York wasn't really where you wanted to be. Can you talk about why it was important for you to stay in Atlanta, and how much was it, being present for your family?
So I go back to, my kids were all raised in Atlanta for the most part.
Yeah.
So, and it was before too many of the implants came into the city. And we're not complaining about it. But
right.
It was a huge influx. The 3 years I was in New York, man, it had to be millions of people moved into the city.
Yeah.
Because traffic got so terrible. But when I went to New York, we were planning, everyone was coming.
Yeah.
We went up for summer. And I'll never forget, my son kind of walked up, and I did something stupid. I got an apartment in Times Square, and, I just wanted to be able to walk out.
Did you just not know that Times Square was like...
I knew, but, it was more so Hell's Kitchen. So it was right outside of Times Square. It was, a couple of blocks, about 6, 7 blocks.
Yeah.
But I could walk to the office, and that's when the Rock Nation office was in Times Square. So I remember my son walking out. They have these diffusers in the lobby of the building, and it smelled great. He walked out of the lobby into the street. And
it smelled like...
Yeah, he was like, Dad, oh my God, I'm going to vomit. And,
I know that's right. I was starting. It smells terrible in New York.
Had him at a summer camp. Kids were mean.
Oh, no.
And just, they didn't care for it. They didn't like it.
Yeah.
Between my wife and my son, and my daughter wasn't born yet. And, they came back home. Mm-hmm. And I would fly home every Thursday, Friday, and then fly back in on Mondays on my own dime. It was not on my T&E budget, so everybody remember that, and it didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
I didn't like, I would like to visit. I like to visit.
Yeah.
2 weeks, come back. And I think it's a lot of people that, from New York that come to Atlanta. It's the same thing. I like a slower pace.
Yeah.
And I like driving.
Yeah.
I never forget being on, and again, this is not to sound
elitist.
Yes. I remember getting on the train.
Yeah.
And
listen, I knew what you were going to say because I feel the same way.
And it was packed. And there was a dude on there that was sweat drenching. And I had a T-shirt on, and he rubbed up against the sweat.
You're like the cooties.
I was like, what is this? And I've ridden the train in Atlanta many a time.
Yeah.
From Carver Homes, we didn't
You'd
have
be
a
on
car.
MARTA all the time, yeah.
Just different things like that. And I did stupid stuff. I would get in an Uber to avoid the train, and it would take me 30 minutes to go where it would take me 10 minutes to walk. And people would laugh, laugh at me, but it was what it was. But it was great feeling wanted after, we got laid off and the calls that kind of came in. I was on the elevator, being escorted out of the building, and my phone rang, one record label. I was like, how did they know so fast?
Yeah.
So, and then it hit the internet and got a couple other calls. I flew to LA for a couple of meetings, and, a couple asked me to stay in New York for a couple of meetings. And, I loved, actually had a chance to meet Emmanuel Zunz, where I am now at 1RPM. And, he actually had the most to say. And, man, I will say God has shined his light on me so many times, because each time something drastic like that happens where most people think it's the end of the world, God brings someone like him into my life, where the distribution companies now almost run the music industry. Everyone is emulating what we do, but I ended up at this company 6 years prior to, not necessarily the bottom falling out of the industry, but the evolution of it.
Yeah.
So I got a chance at 50 years old to figure out a whole new way of doing business. And I give him credit. He was hard. I hated it for like the first 6 months, because he forced you to learn the business of it. Now I learn. I've figured out what the value of a stream is, what the real revenue stream is like coming in month to month, for a business in the music industry.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually knew that before.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know it.
Right. So, how to market it, what to do in the algorithm of it. So, just being able at 50 plus years old to learn those things, most guys my age now are aged out of the music industry and are selling real estate or whatever the case may be. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm building a real estate portfolio just because that's something we do. We know it's, tangible, sustainable. I can walk up to that property and say, hey, I own this. So,
I wanted to ask you about the importance of maintaining your personal brand while also working. You have a 9-to-5. You mentioned you're head of urban at 1RPM, but you also have 72 Consulting, right? And you've had that for some time. That's kind of where your management business is. So what is that? How do you balance the two?
They actually coincide. I think the value of having that outside business keeps me in touch with a lot of other managers, attorneys, and other, just in the mix of the business as a whole. So I can use that to figure out, okay, cool, these guys are looking for deals. These guys are looking for deals. And if they're, where they would normally go to a major record label, I can give them an alternative in a different type of deal where they actually have more on the back end, more value on the back end of their deal, as opposed to going to a major record label, and having more ownership of whatever they're actually putting out. So just that value and relationship alone goes a long way.
That's beautiful. All right, I want to ask you, what is the advice that you give most often, but still have to remind yourself to follow?
Oh, man, integrity. Integrity in this is second to none, because you get tested over and over and over again. I mean, things have happened to me so many times where I can't believe I don't like confrontation, so I'll just walk away. I used to have a temper. And I've been working on that a lot, but it took a lot to get me to that point. And once I got there, damn near we end up in jail. So just having, again, it goes back to, it's two individuals, Larry Wallace and Rico Wade, have shown me, having integrity is probably the most personable thing you could actually have within the music industry, because if people don't trust you, then they won't want to do business with you.
Yeah.
When you walk away from a table negotiating a deal, no one wants to feel taken advantage of.
Yeah, I know.
So that alone. Like I'll give you a prime example. At Rock Nation, I remember a kid calling me from Baltimore. He had a record on an artist, and he was like, man, I just need the money. I'll sign over all my publishing and
Oh,
everything.
no.
It was for $500. I said, hey, man, don't.
He needed 500.
I said, don't ever tell anyone this
Yeah.
in your life. I'm not going to say what I paid him. And I got him a producer agreement and said, hey, here's an agreement. Make sure you use these attorneys. Here's a list of them. Don't ever say that to anybody else ever in your career.
Please.
So,
wow. So we do have a couple regular segments that we do. I like to do see, stream, and skip. The film that I'm recommending people see, if they haven't seen it already, because there's a lot of buzz around this one, but Marty Supreme, which stars Timothée Chalamet. Tyler, the Creator, he makes couple appearances in the film as well.
okay.
It is probably, I don't want to take anything away from the Sinners conversation this year, but Marty Supreme had me watching, and it wasn't a horror film, and I was still watching through my fingers. Like, the anxiety levels were so high because the story is about a real New York kid who is a table tennis champion, but he is, I don't want to say he's a con man, but he has legitimate talent, but he's also very manipulative and very artful, and he ends up in disaster after disaster. So it's a very compelling watch. You're not going to want to look away from the screen. Things are always happening. It's exciting, and of course we want to see Tyler, support Tyler. But this film is going to be in the best film conversation when it comes to the Oscars. For my stream this week, I am going to recommend that you watch Wake Up Dead Man. It's a Knives Out mystery. It's on Netflix. I'm a big Ryan C. Johnson fan. He did all the Glass Onion, the Knives Out films.
Okay.
Janelle Monáe was in the last one. This one has Kerry Washington in it. But it's very smart. You don't want to watch it before you go to sleep because you got to pay attention because you're solving murder mysteries. But this one is set within the Catholic Church, so it's interesting in that way as well. All the characters are unique and bring something special. Jeremy Renner's in it too. It's a lot of well-known actors work with Ryan C. Johnson. So anything Ryan C. Johnson does, I'm always going to recommend. Definitely stream Wake Up Dead Man on Netflix. For my skip, this is never a project. I always it's a philosophical thing. So the skip, I'm saying folks should skip the guilt trips. Around the holidays, you might feel pressure to spend time, or spend money that you might. So I just want to encourage everyone to do what works for them. With New Year's, people want resolutions. If you're not into doing resolutions, if you don't have resolutions, don't worry about doing resolutions. You could save your resolutions till when springtime comes. Some people look at winter as the time to hibernate, and then you become the new you in the springtime. So just release the guilt trips. So I wanted to talk to you about grief. So, you live long enough, you're going to lose some folks. How have you coped with losing Rico? But just in general, like seeing our peers get older and losing them.
Man, it's a lot. With Reek, I don't even realize that. It took me a while to realize I hadn't grieved until just recent.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot. Planning everything and then kind of organizing the business and the tributes and a lot of it. I find myself in meetings and mention his name. I got to talk to Reed. I picked up my phone several times to get ready to call. Like something great happens, I'm like, man, I got to call. And I realized, damn, I can't. This is an everyday thing for me. And I don't, I'm not going to say prostate cancer comes from stress, but I was diagnosed with prostate cancer like a couple of months after his passing. I had to have immediate surgery. They burned it out. But then, there's a community. So that the grief of Rico, then, enjoying life and appreciating life, kind of going through that process.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting at home, I couldn't sleep. It was, am I gonna die? Is it eating me up? Am I dying right here, right now? Am I not gonna wake up if I go to sleep?
Yeah.
So, the fear of that and, leaving my kids without a father. Then finding a community of gentlemen. I'd say to all black men, if you can, go out and definitely get yourself checked because this is a problem within our community.
Yeah.
And early detection, is what helps,
Yes.
with the process of it. And there's within the music industry alone.
Yeah.
I'd say out of
Montel Jordan is currently having a battle with prostate cancer. Charlie Wilson is a survivor, and he actually survived late stage prostate cancer. But it's
even immediate within 10 out of 10 of my close friends or people that we know within the music industry, 6 of us had prostate cancer. So
wow.
I made myself go get checked because someone else had it.
Yeah.
And someone else went after they found out I had it. And it was like a domino effect. And some guys were lucky and some weren't. So that, in itself, was a blessing to be able to go and get tested and, have my surgery. I just came back from the doctor a couple of days ago. My PSA levels are,
that's great news. I'm happy to hear that.
And, with Rico, we're going to, and I don't want to keep throwing it in people's face, but we're going to continue to, give tribute to him as often as possible because I feel like he didn't get the recognition he deserved while he was alive. So I want to make sure, at least within the city of Atlanta, we don't forget.
Yeah.
That in itself, because a lot of people are making a lot of money and have done a lot of great things based off of what he created.
Yeah.
That man sat there in his house actually his mother also, Beatrice Wade, allowing all of those guys to sit there in that household and, do the things that they did and create what they created and the culture of Atlanta and, the lineage that came behind that. There's a lot of wealthy individuals that were derived from that, whether they're artists, the recording artists, the graphic artists, just the whole scene. I would say the entertainment scene in Atlanta as a whole is derived directly from Rico Wade, in my opinion. Whether it's film, TV, they came because of what was happening in the music industry. And, the tax incentives from the mayor's office saw, what they saw from, the successes that the music industry had, the recording studios, and, so on and so forth. So a lot of opportunities from executives to engineers to recording artists. Like I said, you could go down that line, and those things are a direct reflection of him.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, we're on the verge of 2026. What are you looking forward to?
Wow. Looking forward to innovation and see where it goes. I'm a little technically challenged.
But not a complete Luddite, right?
Not completely. I like to learn. Might take me a little longer than it takes my children to.
Yeah.
But I like to see, how things evolve, open AI and things happening with it. I think with our culture now, I do a lot at William Walker Recreation Center. But, my son started playing ball there. Now I think what it's going to take is someone from our community going into these places and introducing how you utilize it to a lot of the kids, as opposed to, hey, we're just going to sponsor the football team or the basketball team. You need to go in with some equipment to show these are the things that are going to affect your life for the next 50 years and your children forward and forward and forward. So we don't get left behind by the wayside.
I actually did an article for Black Enterprise about a program that with AI library programs where there's an organization, Van Jones is part of it, who they go to different cities and they conduct these workshops on how to use AI. But I agree, Black people need to be paying attention and not afraid of the technology for sure. All right. Okay, so one question, and I think this is about to become a question that I ask people for every episode. It came up when I had Justice from LVRN here, but if you could only listen to one album, I'm not trying to get you in any trouble with your clients, but if you could only listen to one album for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pretty easy for me. Off the Wall, Michael Jackson.
Okay, that's a great pick. That's a great pick. All right, so I'll tell you mine. It's the same as Justice. It's Bulletproof Soul by Sade. Yeah. But Aquemini is close, or Low End Theory. Those are my three.
Man, Low End Theory is top 5.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad we have that in common.
I know
Okay.
every word of every song, every lyric. I even know where the drums, where the kicks are and everything.
Yes. I think I might. Well, I don't know about the kicks, but
Gotcha.
I think I might got the lyrics down too. Okay, well, Orlando, I thank you for joining us. We definitely could have had. We might have to have a part 2 because
Definitely.
we only dipped into a few chapters. You've had some really great. We didn't get to talk about Lil Jon and Scrappy and Trillville. You talked a little bit about Crime Mob.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all. Well, I end every episode with an affirmation. So this week's affirmation is, I believe in me. My actions create constant wealth, prosperity, and abundance. And that was inspired by you, Orlando, because I see how you've built your personal brand and you've invested in yourself, created understand the value that you bring to your relationships with different artists and with the music business, period. And I think that's something not enough people do, but you have been instrumental in so many lives, and I want to thank you for your role as a mentor for myself and my friends.
Thank you. I mean, it's not intentional, but it is the thought of passing it forward. And I'm sure all those guys, you got to think, and I'll say this to go out. Wilt Wallace is a senior VP at a major record label now. Earl had done incredible things throughout the music industry and is managing some of the top guys out there right now on the writer-producer side.
Yeah.
Let's see, Tahira Wright.
Yeah, shout out to T-Baby with the Cut Life.
Jennifer Drake, VP over at a major record label.
She's Interscope, right?
Right. And Byron Wright over at BMI and doing what he's doing. These are all guys that kind of, they were part of my early circle. I got them all out of school or they were in school. So I tell all the other execs, kind of passing it forward. And I look forward to a consulting check when I retire from each one of them to help me sustain my life.
Okay. No, hilarious. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't claim the mentor label if I'm have to give you a consulting check.
Okay.
I love it. Well, thanks so much for joining us for another episode of the Hey Janeé Podcast. It's my love letter to the world, my way of saying, hey world, and of course, I want to hear it back.
No, thank you for having me, and I'm very proud of what you're doing here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All
right. Cut.
All right.
Tell Ray come cut. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah. How was I? Was I good?
It was great.
I was stuttering?
Very insightful.
No,
Okay.
you're fine.
Very insightful. A lot of information that I think that people can learn from.
Good. I'll try.
Gave out some good nuggets.
How you doing?